mean, it's a Miata, right? Even if we go wide open throttle and a cop sees us, it's not like we're gonna get pulled over. It doesn't make enough power to. Jesus, these things are so slow. So the Miata was extremely short-lived. The car came back on a tow truck, and here's why. So now we have a completely dead Megasport, probably. Okay, we're almost done here. We got this package from Flying Miata yesterday with this really sweet sticker. I actually really like this a lot. A little thank you card, and here is the bracket. So what happens is the 1/6 cable is far too long, and so this bracket is supposed to pull it a little bit further back just to make this all work, and you can go wide open throttle. So pretty simple piece, just bolts on where the old one went, pulls the cable back, and then it'll work. All right, so we're wrapping up the Miata here. There's just a couple other small things that we need to do. It's the horn wiring stuff here that I've got mostly situated. There's a couple other small things on this list, but this car is almost ready to tune. I'm gonna go ahead and start cleaning all this up here, including the wiring that I did over there on the Megasport for the wideband. And you know, we're just gonna start reassembling all the things that we've touched, and then that way I can street tune this thing and get it out of here. Normally, you guys know that I prefer to dyno tune cars because it makes it easier for me, but unfortunately for this fella, he spent a lot of money that he didn't anticipate to spend. You know, he wasn't expecting to spend money on injectors and a Megasquirt and all this other stuff, so it's got to be done. All right, before we wrap it up, just wanted to test it, make sure it's good. All right, horn's working, so we will go ahead and start wrapping up this, zip tying everything and wrapping everything up here, and put this blower panel on. Then we'll start working on the backside here and reinstall the fuel pump stuff. Okay, so we've got the Miata together, we've got some settings in, and we are just going to start tuning this thing. So like I mentioned earlier, the customer's not, you know, he's kind of running low on funds, and so he's just looking for a quick and dirty street tune on the car. He knows it's not going to be perfect, he knows there are other things that need to be fixed, but unfortunately he's run out of cash, which I understand. So now we're just going to do a quick and dirty street tune on this car, just so we can get him and his car out of here. So tuning is pretty straightforward with the Megasquirt. We have our AFR target tables already set. So now we're just gonna drive this car pretty slowly and make a couple changes here as we go along. So what I tell customers is that you want to drive this thing like you're on ice. So you just kind of want to keep it easy on the throttle and let it just make its changes as it goes on, and it'll self-correct to kind of get you in the ballpark. And you're going to just kind of drive it, like I said, just like you're on ice, just real slow and easy. It hits cells that you normally wouldn't hit, you know, because you're not going to be doing 20 miles an hour in first gear at 4,500 RPM. And so the importance of doing different gears is going to give you different types of loads. So the map sensor reading is not going to be the same in every gear, So for instance, like, you know, if you're in third gear, cruising along at 2,000 miles or 2,000 RPMs, and you shift into fourth and bring it back up to 2,000 RPMs, the load on the motor is different because of the transmission. So you start to hit areas on the map sensor that you normally wouldn't see. So right here, it's super lean. So we're in fourth gear trying to do 25 miles an hour, and the car is struggling along because it's super lean in these areas. So we're just gonna let it self-correct. And as you can see with Tuner Studio, it starts to clear up on its own. You know, it takes a little bit of time to do, but it does. And so the more driving you do, the better it's going to be. The hard part though is just trying to keep everything steady. you got to be smart about it, because the ECU is only as smart as it can be, and you're going to come across things that look really goofy, and you have to mentally sort out why. So we've got what I'd like to think a good bit of it done as far as cruising. I'm gonna go ahead and pull over here and just kind of take a look at the fuel table. And then we're just gonna make a couple of quick and dirty adjustments here. So I forgot to set up overrun fuel cut. What overrun fuel cut is like when you're in gear and you release off the throttle, it's supposed to cut the fuel. It does that for one, fuel economy, but secondly, it actually does that to also help clean the plugs as well. So, I mean, it's working out because it's not like the car was super rich or anything. All right, so overrun fuel is working. It's a little bit, there's a little bit of a delay on it, but not the end of the world. AFRs are looking decently good. I guess realistically, I think we're pretty all right for now. I'm gonna do a couple wide open throttle blasts and see how it goes. I mean, it's a Miata, right? Even if we go wide open throttle and a cop sees us, it's not like we're gonna get pulled over. It doesn't make enough power to. So I think it's running pretty good right now. I think the fuel table is mostly sorted. There's a couple areas down low that we could clean up a little bit. But like I said, right now I think we're doing okay. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and stop auto tune for now. So auto tune is currently turned off. We're gonna leave that as is for a second here and just kind of see how it runs. So we got it basically mapped out already with the auto tune. We're gonna have to go back and clean it up, obviously, but I think we got it mapped out pretty good. What I'm going to do now is I've already turned it off, and we're just gonna drive it to see how it drives. And if a car drives, you know, like how a stock car should run, I think we're gonna call that good. I'm gonna hop on the highway as well, just to make sure that everything highway-wise is good. And then after that, you know, like I said, it's a quick and dirty tune, so it's just enough for him to get around on. Jesus, these things are so slow. Lost TPS for some reason. I don't know why. It probably came unplugged. There's not a retainer on it, and I don't know if you guys remember, we had to trim it down to get it all to fit. So I think we lost TPS. So I'm gonna try to get somewhere to pull over to check it out. The cool thing is that even without TPS, it still runs all right. Yeah, TPS got unplugged. We're gonna have to do something about that. Maybe hit it with like a little bit of RTV or something just to get it locked in. And TPS is working as it should be now, so no big deal. Oop. Yeah, it runs a lot better with the TPS hooked up, obviously, because the cell enrichment is working like it's supposed to. So the Miata was extremely short-lived. The car came back on a tow truck, and here's why. It had a busted hose. So the hose down here is broken from the factory. It's supposed to be at 90, and it's supposed to be at 90 up, and it goes over. So we just bought this hose. Okay, it's number 18554, and we should get it, trim it down. It should work. All right, so we get that coolant line back on, and no fuel pump. We jump the fuel pump, comes on. So check this out. So this circuit is a little bit modified. This is the circuit opening relay here. And so from the factory, keep in mind we have the Megasquirt fitted, okay? So this actually has a really weird burnt smell, and I'm pretty sure I know what's wrong with it. So firstly, on the Miata from the factory, the airflow meter sends power to the circuit opening relay. And the way it works is that as the engine's on, it has a flap that opens up as air comes through, and then it applies power, and then it keeps the fuel pump running, right? So when you go Megasquirt, you delete the AFM, but the way DIY Auto-Tune does is that they apply the I think it's pin 1C, I think, and it applies power that way, so the fuel pump comes on with key on. Now so that means with key on, this violet wire on the circuit opening relay, which is this pin, should have power, but it has ground. Now here's what makes matters even worse. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to key it on, and you're going to see that my power probe gets a short. See that? So this internal circuit breaker on this was, on the power probe, was activating to protect the circuit breaker. Now, so you're probably wondering, what does that mean? Well, that means that there's a fuse that needs to be removed, which is the ST fuse, and I can guarantee you that the owner put it back in. Called it. The circuit's probably burnt up. So I'm pretty sure that that circuit is dead. Yep. So let's see. I'm gonna, maybe we get lucky, maybe not. Not gonna hold my breath, because that means that that fuse has been in for quite some time here. Yep, not a good look. So that circuit is no good. Let's see. So we actually got lucky. I threw the circuit opening relay back in. I pulled the jumper out of the fuse box, and we actually got lucky. So DIY does talk about how they've made that circuit pretty robust. So I think we got lucky in the sense that he probably didn't have that fuse in very long. So I've had the fuse removed, and I don't know what made him decide to put it back in, or what, or made him even decide to look in the glove box. But I think we got lucky, and so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up and call it a day.